Welcome to Thinner Peace and Menopause and Beyond. This is Dr. Deb Butler, Master Life and Weight Coach, and as always, your coach. Today is episode number 137. I can hardly believe it. And I'm going to talk to you about the one thing that changes everything. Stay tuned. Hello, all my dear friends. How are you today? We had a huge snowfall a few days ago, and then the next day it turned 60 degrees. So I got to walk in the snow one day last week as it was snowing, and it was quiet, and it was beautiful, and my husband came with me, and it was just breathtaking. I enjoyed every moment, and I got to move my body, and I got to feel all these emotional highs. True pleasure from moving and being in nature and watching the miracle of snow. And then the next day, this is St. Louis, Missouri for you, 60 degrees, everything melted, and I got to go for another walk. I felt like, oh my gosh, this is so beautiful. And we're really still in the middle of fall. So it was like one day it was winter and snow and quiet. And then the next day, the trees are still colorful and it was warm and it was another brilliant walk, but it was like totally two different types of weather. Like I was in two different kinds of places, not in the same place. But I loved it. And I encourage all of you to get out, move your body, and notice how much better it makes you feel. And for those of you who love to be in nature, get out there. I don't care if it's cold. I don't care if it's snowing. I don't care if it's sunny. I don't care if it's raining. All of those are just circumstances, and you get to decide how you want to feel and think about those. And if you want to get up and move your body and you want to experience nature, you can do it in any season. And that's a thought for you. Which brings me to what I want to talk to you about today, because I'm always on to thoughts, as you all know. And I'm getting ready to go out to California in a couple days because I'm going to give a very special talk to a very special group. And the reason that I'm going to be doing it is because one of my most beloved clients, and I know I'm not just saying it, I really love her, and I do love all of my clients. I just do. But she has had such wonderful transformations in her whole life just based on the coaching that I did with her on her weight. Because you all know what we're really talking about is we're not talking about the weight so much as the management of the mind that creates the overeating. And really, she has gotten to the point where she is really learning how to be the manager of her mind. And it's created so many different results in her life that she is just over the moon about it. She can't stop talking about it. So one of the people that she talks a lot about it to is her husband, of course. And she taught her husband a lot of the things that I was teaching her. One of the biggest things that I taught her, that I teach you, that I teach all of my clients, is the model, which is really a model or a basis of how to solve any problem based on managing your mind. So I don't really care if it's a weight problem or a health problem or a business problem or a relationship problem. The way that I coach and the way that I teach is I just teach you how to manage your mind around any situation so that you can create whatever results you want in that. And that's really based on the model. That's really based on the mind. And that is really everything that I teach. So because of her results, she spread it to her husband, who started getting amazing results in his own life just based on what I taught her. And of course, then it spread over into their family. They started teaching their kids the model. And because of all of that, he asked me if I would come and speak to a special group of his about teaching this model because of the transformation that he's noticed in his wife, in himself, his own family. And he wants to spread the good news. So he asked me to come out. And of course, you know what I said? I said I would love to because I love teaching the model. And the people that I'll be talking to are a little bit more, I don't know, I think they might be a little bit more business oriented. But in the end, it really doesn't matter who I talk to, because it really doesn't matter if it's your business you want to work on, or your weight you want to work on, or your relationship you want to work on. What I teach is how to manage your own mind, because the only person you're ever in control of anyway is you. And I have the solution for that. That is the best thing about my coaching, is that what I teach applies to everything. So I want to go over that a little bit with you today, since it's kind of good practice for me, since I'm going to be talking about it a lot in a couple days. But I also want you to think about it in terms of Thanksgiving, and I want you to think about it in terms of your body, and I want you to think about it in terms of your own business, in your own relationship, how you apply this. And I call it the one big thing that changes everything. And that one big thing is the model. How to manage your mind in any situation, around any circumstance. Because here is the truth, people. What happens to you, what happens in life, which we call the C or the circumstance, is out of your control. You know, if it rains, it rains. You got nothing to do with it, and there's nothing that you can do about it in the moment. If somebody says something to you, there's nothing you can do about it in the moment. It is what it is. It's a fact, and it can be proven in court every single time. And most of us feel out of control because we can't control that. And what I teach in my coaching, around all of my weight coaching, which can be about business coaching, relationship coaching, it really doesn't matter what, is how to manage your mind about how you want to perceive that circumstance, that fact. So today, for my own practice, and also for you to remind yourself how to use this model, and I think we can use it specifically for Thanksgiving that's coming up, but I also want to show it to you how I use it with my clients in any kind of situation. So when I speak about the model has 5 components. And those components, once you know them and once you understand them, then you can plug in anything in your life into this model to be able to create the feeling that you want, the action that you want, the result that you want. You can plug it in. So let me give you some examples. Let me tell you what those components are again, and then I'll give you some very specific examples with some of my clients on how we use them. And then I want you to go and practice. Because here's the deal about as you start learning to managing your mind. And when I talk about managing your mind, I want you to think about managing your mind as eavesdropping on your own thoughts. Because the thoughts that are running around in your mind, they're always running around in your mind, right? And you don't have really control over all of those thoughts that are running around. The control that you have is that you have a different part of your brain that can actually eavesdrop or observe what those thoughts are, which takes practice. And then once you can see those thoughts, you have an opportunity to decide if you like those thoughts that you've been thinking and believing, or if you'd like to change those thoughts into something that might give you a much better result. You then see that it is up to you to decide that, which I think is pretty huge. So what you think is under your control. Now, there are a lot of thoughts running around up in that brain. The control is in being able to observe those, which is really doing something totally different than just thinking those thoughts. And that is where the practice comes in. And that's why I think a lot of people actually meditate. I know we talk about meditation as a way to calm down, as a way to relax. But really, the way I see meditation is a great way to be able to train your brain into bringing it back to the present moment. And the present moment is just what's going on in this moment and what you're thinking and what you're choosing to believe. And when you're meditating, you see all those thoughts just running around up there. You just kind of see them. That part of your brain, the observer part of your brain, the prefrontal cortex part of your brain sees it. And once you see it, you can't not see it. And if you're willing to be curious about those thoughts, then you can use this model. So the model starts with the 5 components of first, there's a C, and a C is always a circumstance or a fact that can be proven in court, and you absolutely have no control over it in the moment. Now, a C or a circumstance always triggers a T or a thought. And a thought is a sentence that's running around in your mind that is triggered from a circumstance. Now, the sentence in your mind that you've chosen always creates an F or a feeling, which is just a vibration in your body. And it's usually just one word: happy, mad, sad, glad, and all the feelings in between. Now, the reason it's a vibration in your body and really clear for you to see this is that what you create in your mind does create a vibration in your body that you can feel. And all of you know that, but sometimes forget it. Now, this F or this feeling will trigger an A or an action or a non-action. You'll either do something or you won't do something. And the action then always creates an R or a result. It's what your actions create. It's the outcome from what you do, an R or a result. So we like to call it the CTFAR model. That's it. Now, the other thing about this is that once you have an R or a result, it will always create evidence for your thinking. So if you can look at this model, now it's in my companion notes. So if you don't have my companion book, please go get it at drdebbutler.com/change so that you can look at the model. It's under the session under thoughts. Now I want you to look at it because it really helps when you can see this. But what I show you in the notes and what I'm telling you right now is that whatever the result is that's created from your actions will always be evidence for your thoughts. It's like an arrow will go from the results right back up to the T or the thoughts, which is really important for you to realize that whatever you think, you will look for evidence continually to make that thought true, which is why it's so important to know what the heck it is that you're thinking, because the more you think it, the more you create evidence that makes it seem more true. And so it becomes like a negative cycle of negative thinking because you're creating evidence for your negative thought, and then you're believing that this is all true, and it becomes a belief system. And pretty soon you think that's just who you are, when in reality, it's just a thought you've been thinking for so long. And when you can see that, my darlings, I will tell you what, everything will change for you, just like it does for my clients, just like it did for this very specific client of mine whose husband is actually having me come to California to teach it because it's been so revolutionary for their family. Do you think that I am not the luckiest woman in the world that I get to teach this on a regular basis and help people change not only themselves, but spread it? I can't think of anything I'd rather do. Okay, so let's use a couple examples. Let me give you some examples from my clients because I think it'll really help you see this. So I have a client who's been diagnosed with bipolar disease. Okay, so that we will put in the C line as a fact because she's been diagnosed. But here's what I want you to see. She is working with me with weight. And one of the things that happens is that she overeats a lot. So I just want to show you how the model works with that. She has bipolar disease, but she has a thought that she doesn't think it's a real disease and she's just a weak person. That's really what she thinks. And you know what happens when she thinks that? She feels weak and she feels incapable. Now, here's the thing. She has bipolar. A lot of times, the symptoms of bipolar will create some of that, right? But the thought that she uses about that creates those feelings anyway. And when she feels those feelings, guess what she does when she feels so bad about herself and she feels weak? She feels she overeats. She ruminates in her mind about how terrible she is and how weak she is. And guess what the result is of that? Is that she actually believes and creates more evidence about how weak she is. That's the result of that thinking, is that I'm weak and that I should be able to control this disease. Just imagine, and this is what we did with our coaching, is once she could see that it was the thought that was actually causing her more pain than the bipolar itself, right? It was like taking two arrows. One arrow, like, hey, I'm not saying I think bipolar is fun, but I'm saying if you've got it and you're willing to accept it, and in reality, let me tell you, she actually is controlling it pretty well with medicine and working with a psychiatrist, and she's been doing it for years. And most of her problems have been in her mind about how she thinks about it. So what she's working on now is realizing that that thought is optional and that she could accept the diagnosis. Now, I'm not saying it's always that easy, but the realization for her, we haven't even changed the model yet, but the realization for her is that she could think differently and she could feel differently immediately with the bipolar disease. And I'll tell you what, that for her is freeing in itself. And it's starting to change because what she is in control of, she can control if she wants to take medicine. She can control if she wants to see a therapist and a psychiatrist. She can do that if she believes that she has it and that she can do something about it, as opposed to it's not even real and it's just her and she's just weak. I hope you guys can see that. I really hope you can see that because it's helped her immensely. And just imagine what it might be like for you. I bet you there's a lot of you out there that kind of struggle like she does. So let me give you another example from another client. I have another client who is losing weight. I don't know. I think she might have lost 20 or 30 pounds. And she's down to a specific weight now. And what we've noticed over maybe the last 3 or 4 weeks is she's not losing any weight and she's not sticking to her protocol and she's overeating. And this is what we realized from her model. Now, I want you to see this. Her circumstances is that she's lost 30 pounds and she's at a specific weight. Her thought is, oh boy, I can relax a little bit. That's what we found out. That's what good coaching is really going to find out what's going on there. And when she thinks, oh boy, I can relax a little bit and celebrate, it creates a feeling of entitlement. And when she feels entitled, guess what she does? She disconnects from her body. She overeats. She stops sticking to her plan that she knows works for her. And the result is that she either stays the same, starts gaining weight, and there ain't no celebration going on. That's no way to celebrate, right? So isn't that interesting that a lot of you I know do this and you call it, you say, I just sabotage myself all the time. That's what she would say. But really what's happening is she's rewarding herself because of the thought. Oh my God, I've worked so hard. This has been so hard. And in reality, guess what? For her, it hasn't been that hard. It's actually been a huge relief knowing that she knows exactly what to do. and she has felt totally in control. Totally. But that little brain starts tweaking those thoughts. Those little thoughts that are running around like, hey, baby, let's take a break. And the reason those thoughts are there is because if you've been cycling and dieting and yo-yo dieting for years and years and years, those little pesky thoughts are just waiting. They're there and they're waiting. And now what she knows and what you could know is just because you think it, as long as you can see it, you don't have to believe it. This has changed everything for her. Because now what she thinks is getting a little bit more excited is because all she has to do, this is her new thought, this is the more intentional thought, is all she has to do is keep doing what she's doing. And it gives her a feeling of empowerment. The action is she sticks with what she knows works. And the result is that she proves it to herself, right? There's nothing to break. There's nothing going on other than she gets to celebrate exactly what she's doing and feel fantastic about herself. And that's what we call a positive spin cycle off of that thought. That's all she has to think. Now, the other thoughts, they're going to keep coming back. They're not gone. They're going to keep coming. Hey, are you sure you don't want a big reward for this? And, from the coaching that we've done, she realizes now she's like eavesdropping on her thoughts now. And she knows that those are just thoughts that she doesn't have to believe. And she just calms them down a little bit. It's like calming that primitive part of your brain down a little bit and go, it's okay, sweetheart. I've got this. We're just going to keep doing what we're doing. And this is what I want to celebrate. That's available to you too. So I hope this has helped you. And just think, let me give you a little model about Thanksgiving. Because Thanksgiving is just a C too. It's just a fact. And remember, all circumstances and all facts are always, not only are they facts, but they're always neutral. There's no emotion to them until we think something. So here's an idea of what I want you to think about Thanksgiving. I want you to think that I'm going to treat this meal or this day as just another day or just another meal. I'm going to stay with my plan and I'm going to stay connected with whatever it is. I can just keep doing what I'm doing. I am not creating drama. And the feeling from that, my darling, is peaceful. And when you feel peaceful and you're in your Thanksgiving mode, you can enjoy your family, your friends, or not enjoy them. That's possible too. And that's okay too. You can not enjoy them and feel negative emotion, and you can still stay connected to your body, stay with whatever plan you're doing, eat according to your body. Those are the actions. And the result of that is no drama at Thanksgiving and a total connection to your body. That's what I want to leave you with. So I want you guys to have such a great Thanksgiving and to be grateful for all the things that you have to be grateful for, because we all have things to be grateful for once we can target our minds towards gratitude. Gratitude does not fall from the sky. It falls from your mind, and you intentionally need to use it and create thoughts that create the feeling of gratitude. My darlings, I love you all. Have a great Thanksgiving. And as always, I want you to be very, very, very kind to yourself. And see you next week. Bye-bye. Hey, by the way, everybody, I also want to mention that now that I'm doing the one thing that changes everything, I want to invite any of you that own companies and businesses. If you would like me to be able to teach this concept to the people that you work with or to the people that you care and you love about, I'm available. I love teaching this stuff. You want to change a whole company? you can actually do this with this one thing, teaching the model. I'm getting so excited to go and teach it, but I want you to know if you would like me to do it for you, I can. And you can learn more about what I do by going to drdebbutler.com/work with me. You can set up a mini session and we can talk about this. I would love to spread the good news. Peace is just a thought away. If this sounds like a good idea, go to drdebbutler.com/work with me. Bye-bye.